Lately I've been thinking about some of our sets, and in particular, the Creator 3-in-1 line. It's actually quite a strange concept when you think about it. You see it on some boxes, and it's basically Lego saying, this can be broken into 3 different models, as you know. It's almost like they're giving permission to break it up and to make something different, or maybe trying to encourage it. I don't know. But either way, they're saying there are 3 models in one here. We've done 3 sets of instructions. But when you think about it, it's quite strange, because aren't all Lego sets actually infinite in one? Now, don't get me wrong, I really like the Creator 3-in-1 series. I think there's some really, really good builds in it. Some of them are just absolutely fantastic. But it does get me thinking about why we build Lego in the first place. There's lots of reasons that people build Lego. I've got friends that some of them build it for just hearing the bricks click, just the relaxing experience. Some people do it for the end model result, and some people do it for creativity, to build something completely out of their own mind. And there's no right or wrong way, I don't think. It's just whatever you enjoy. That's the purpose of it. But it does get me thinking, the great thing about Lego or building bricks in general is they're not a model. You can break them apart and repurpose them. It gets to things like the terms mock my own creation. I mean, someone recently in one of our videos commented that, my own creation is basically just, that's what Lego is. When we were younger, that's what it was. It was my own creations, because ultimately it was about creativity. And I agree to that to an extent. The other thing is, like I said, some people build it for the final model. Hey, some people just buy it for the purpose of investing. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever they want to do with it, But I do find it strange that the Creator 3-in-1 is actually a line when you think about it. I mean, have you ever looked at some of your sets? I was looking at some of mine thinking, I wonder if I was to break this one and break this one, what I could make with it. And that's where great things like Rebrickable come in, where you're able to, look up your sets or get another set, see what you can make out of it. But, I wonder, why does Lego not partner more strongly with things like Rebrickable? So that every set that you buy effectively will have multiple instructions. And I'm not saying out of the get-go on the Lego designers and the great design teams and things like that from these brick build companies. I'm saying, a community, us, there's lots of great talented people who do produce great rebrickable instructions. And it's rebrickable is quite a niche thing. It's not something that the general public are aware of. So I wonder if things like Lego should team more closely with things like Rebrickable and promote the fact that, hey, don't be afraid to break down some of your sets if you want to, and build this out of it. We're currently in our Sunday City series build. We're currently breaking apart the One Piece Going Merry ship. And a few people that we mentioned this to were so shocked that we would rip this beautiful little ship apart. And, we don't have space to display everything. There's no way we have space to display everything. We like the ship. There are certain sets you just enjoy, but they're of the moment, they're of the time. And time moves on, and you decide, what? This is actually part of a bigger story, and I'd like to repurpose this into something. On the other hand, like I said, you don't have infinite space. Maybe the solution to some people mention about, we don't have enough space to display all these sets. Maybe you don't have to. Just like we evolve and we like different things at different times in our lives. Maybe I like Stranger Things last year, and this year I don't. I do love Stranger Things, by the way. But the point is, maybe you don't. And so you repurpose the set. You're struggling to see the upside down being broken apart there, aren't you? But yeah, I think there's a real stigma about going ahead and doing that. Maybe it's just something I've noticed within our community, that it's almost like because Lego has said this is how it should be built with instructions, and there's nothing wrong with that there's a reluctance to then rebuild. Rebuild doesn't necessarily mean breaking apart and tearing down. It just means making something new out of it There's more, I think there should be more of a focus on you can create something new. It's okay if you want to. And guess what? The instructions for the model that you purchased, they're still there. In fact, they're more accessible than ever before. You know, if you think about the space saving, the cost savings, in how many things you can reuse. I mean, I don't know if it's a Lego's interest basically to tell us and to remind us that, hey, you can rebuild things out of this set. It's not static. Because if everyone did that, we'd probably purchase quite a few less sets. But yeah, it's just something to think about. Something that really, this Creator 3-in-1 line here, while I love it, is really infinite in one. And all of the sets that are produced by Lego or any other, Lumibricks, Fantasy, they're all rebricked. They're all able to be infinite in one. You just have to be brave enough to break it apart and try something else. Again, I'm not saying that that's what must happen, because some people complete the instructions, that's what they want to do. That's great. I really love that. They get a really nice model. But if your interests change after 3 years, you can de-dust it, remove it from your collection and build something new, something you want. It's just something I've observed. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think? Have you ever torn apart a set, just something you loved initially, and guess what? Its time's now faded and you're just less attached to it, and so you break it apart now? Have you ever thought, I need to create space, and gone and torn it down and rebuilt something new with it? I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Just thought that was quite interesting. Anyway, as always, play well.